Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about the challenge All Stars 4, Episode 7, titled Catch a Falling Star. This episode starts with Nicole and Steve loving up on themselves and reminding us that they eliminated Jasmine and Kifla last week. Before I dive in, I put a link in the description so you can watch my previous recaps. If you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. Let's get into it. They get back to the house and Veronica is proud of herself for making Nicole switch things up at the elimination, and she feels like she made a relationship with Nicole that's going to help she and Tina later in the game. Ryan and Adam chat about their budding friendship, and Ryan shares that he's 8 months sober after checking himself into rehab. Brad visits Ace in his place, and they talk about their journeys. Flora observes them and calls Ace an undercover agent and Cara Maria's puppet. Brad is unhappy because he did a great job last season, but sucks this season and wants to step his game up. Leroy feels similarly about himself, which leads us to their challenge, which will be trivia played in pairs. Nobody wants to be Brad's partner, so he's with Flora. They'll be holding hands on a balance beam, answering questions, and if they get 3 questions wrong, they'll be
jerked off
the platform. They'll be playing in 3 rounds. Firstly, they'll play 2 rounds with 4 teams at a time, and the first 2 pairs to be eliminated in those rounds will be the losing group. Then there's a winner's bracket where the winners are the daily winners and everyone else are the middles, and this is a men's elimination day. The first round sees Brad and Flora, Cara and Ace, Derek and Tina, and Cam and Steve. The questions start off being about this season, which isn't as fun, but they get into spelling, which is kind of fun. Brad and Flora are the first team out, and
jerked off.
Flora mentions that she fell on her side and hurt her rib, which is concerning. Cam and Steve are out too and will join in the bottom.
She looked at me with sorrow. I looked at her with grief. She just whispers, "I'm sorry." And I whisper back, "It's okay."
The next round is Jay and Nicole, Avery and Adam, Veronica and Leroy, and Ryan and Laurel. Their questions are more about South Africa and then lead into spelling. Veronica is carrying Leroy in the spelling, confidently spelling words quickly and accurately. Ryan and Laurel are eliminated and both take wild falls when they're
jerked off.
Adam and Avery are also bottoms when they're eliminated. Heading into the winners round, Veronica says that winning this round would take away her ability to help her allies stay out of elimination. Ace comically doesn't know what color the couches are that he's always on, so Ace and Cara are first eliminated. Jay and Nicole are jerked off too. It comes down to Leroy and Veronica and Tina and Derek, with Leroy and Veronica winning and protecting their stars, sending the others to the middle group, who will decide between Adam, Brad, Steve, and Ryan which 2 will go into elimination. Back at the house, they're having delicious pizza and wine. They cheers. And to Ryan's sobriety, and Laurel wants to keep Ryan in the house to support him. Ace makes a controversial Shakespearean speech proclaiming that Brad and Steve should go into elimination to fight over stealing Ace's star, and that the challenge gods had designed this in heaven. Brad is pissed off with Ace about this and calls it a big sales pitch to screw Brad over. The next day, Adam volunteers for elimination, and Ryan suspects that Tina is going to be messy and screw him over in nominations. In the nominations, Jay starts things off by nominating Adam and Ryan. Derek defends Ryan and nominates Adam and Brad. Tina, who looks fabulous, decides to cop out and vote for Adam and Steve, pretty much the messiness that Ryan had predicted, leaving the final decision between Brad and Ryan to Ace. Ultimately, Brad and Adam are nominated, and the elimination challenge is the one we saw earlier this season but never got to see play out. I'm happy they're doing it now. They need to memorize a cheat code and recreate it on their controller with their feet and hit enter. Whoever completes it first correctly wins the elimination. Leroy decides not to play the elimination.
Do you want to come down here? Hell no.
They get started, and this is actually a crazy long code to memorize. I was expecting them to have to memorize something in one go. This coming from me, who still has 3 PlayStation 2 Grand Theft Auto cheat codes memorized for 20 years. But they can memorize it in pieces and bring them back to the controller. Adam is doing just that, memorizing little chunks and moving forward consistently, and Brad keeps messing up and resetting, so eventually Adam wins the elimination. And we have to say goodbye to Brad here, who was one of my winner picks for the men coming into this season, coming off of a really strong performance on the previous All-Stars. I feel like a lot of the fun in Brad as a character was gone here, and there was a more negative cloud over him through the whole season, really exemplified by when he was paired up with Laurel in the musical chairs challenge, and she got really frustrated with him, telling him he needed to figure out what was getting in his way of being great. I think that's a great read from Laurel, but we didn't get a good idea of really anything that Brad has going on right now. He mentioned in this episode that he wanted to be a good role model to his kids, and he wanted to do well in this season so that he can have something to show them so that they'd be proud of him, but there's plenty of seasons where he does really well that he could show them and they'd be proud. While I'm not the biggest Brad fan, I would like to see him come back and have a better season where he just maybe has more fun. Following Brad's elimination, Adam decides to steal Ace's star, but apparently Ace just offered it to him, which is a signal to the other players that Ace isn't really serious about the game. And as a viewer, definitely ends the episode off on a bit of a whack note. So after this, I'm definitely hoping Ace ends up without a star and not being able to run the final. In closing, this episode was kind of boring. It would have been spiced up if there was a women's elimination as well, as we've seen that's been the cause of the drama all season. We got a preview for next week, and what do you know, there's going to be tons of drama. But that's all I have to say about this episode. Let me know in the comments what you what you thought. I'll be back next Wednesday with more challenge. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Until then, have a nice weekend. Bye.